Hey everyone, my name is Anagha.
And my name is Alma.
Welcome back to our fourth website development lesson, More CSS.
So for today's lesson, we'll first have a brief recap of our second lesson introducing CSS. Then we'll learn some CSS selectors and properties and then practice.
Here's a brief recap of the basic CSS that we learned in our second lesson. The selector determines which section of the HTML code will be customized. A property determines which aspect of the HTML code you will be customizing, and the declaration determines what the HTML code will look like.
Now we'll learn some more CSS properties. To make a comment in CSS, use a slash and star and then close it off with a star then slash. The background color property defines the background color. The border style property specifies the style of the border, for example, dashed or solid. Using border top or border bottom properties will specify style for the top or bottom but not for all borders. Same goes for border right and left. The border width property specifies the width of a border. The border color property specifies the color of a border. The margin properties are used to define the margins of the elements. Using margin top, right, bottom, or left will specify the margins for a particular size.
The min height, max height, min width, and max width properties are used to set the minimum or maximum height and minimum or maximum widths. These properties are only in effect when the content of the element is smaller than a minimum or larger than a maximum. Padding properties are used to create space around the element inside of a defined border. Use padding top, right, bottom, or left to set different paddings for individual sides.
So now on to the CSS link properties. The a:\link selector edits a normal unvisited link. The a:\visited selector edits a link that is visited by the user at least one time. The a:\hover selector edits a link when the mouse hovers over the link. The a:\active selector edits a link when it is clicked on. The properties for these selectors would be color, font family, text decoration, and background color.
Now onto the CSS font properties. The CSS font properties set the font content of the HTML element. The font family property specifies the font of an element. The font weight property determines the thickness of the font, and the font size property defines the size of the text of the element.
So more about the CSS font family property. The family name property is the name of the font family. Examples can include Courier, Arial, and Times. The generic family property is the name of the generic family. Examples can include serif, cursive, and monospace. In order to use specific fonts, you need to use the font family, font name, and the font family property. Font family properties are backup fonts in case the specified font name is not supported.
Here's more on the CSS font weight and font size properties. The default font weight is normal. You can adjust the font weight by either typing in the name of the font weight, for example, bold, or you can also change it by the length of the font weight, for example, 400. For the font size properties, the default size is medium. You can adjust the font size either by using the word for the size, for example, large, or by the length of the size, for example, 40 pixels.
Now that we've learned some new CSS properties, let's practice. Open up your Replit account and create a new HTML JavaScript CSS project titled Website Development Lesson 4. We will now do a walkthrough of how to use the new CSS properties we have learned.
First, let's replace the hello world with a paragraph. We copied and pasted a paragraph about COVID-19.
Then we'll use the ahref tag and paste a website related to COVID-19.
Now let's practice our CSS properties. Go into the style.css file and change the background color of the whole website. We'll type in background-color: lavender. Don't forget to include the semicolon at the end of each statement. If you run the program, you should see that the background color is now different.
Now let's try the margin properties. Type in margin, and then 50px. When we run the program, you can see that our paragraph has been shifted in and the margins are now 50 pixels.
Now, let's style our paragraph. Let's type in the P and the brackets that will include our CSS code. To change the font, type in Font-Family Helvetica.
Now, let's practice the border properties. First, let's create a solid border using border:solid. Next, you can adjust the border properties to be however you like. Using border color properties, let's adjust the left and right borders to be blue. Let's also change the style of the top border to be dashed and the thickness of the bottom border to be 4px. Now, let's practice the padding property. To change the padding of the box, type padding:50px. When we run the program, you should see all the changes to your border and that the padding layer between the border and the paragraph is 50 pixels wide.
To edit a link, you need to type in a:"link" and the brackets that will encompass our CSS code. Type in Font-Family: monospace. This will make the font of our link monospace. Then we'll type in font-size: 25px. This makes the font size 25 pixels big. Then we'll type in color: navy. This will make our font color navy blue. You guys should practice with the other a: selectors like a:"visited, a:"hover, and a:"active. If we run the code, we should see that the link is now edited.
Now that we've practiced these new CSS properties, it's time to practice by yourself. Your assignment for Lesson 4 is to complete the Create Your ID project. First, create a div class that will hold everything in your ID. Everything you code should be located in this div class. Next, change the background color of your ID to your favorite color. Then, create a border for your ID. For a challenge, change each of the borders to have a different look, whether it be its thickness, color, or style. Then increase the margin sizes and the padding of your ID. On your ID, insert a link to your school website and style this link to have a different color when you hover over it. Throughout your program, make sure to use different font styles, sizes, and colors.
And we're done! Thank you for watching this lesson with me and Alma. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us using the emails above. Also, don't forget to send us the link to your Create Your ID project. See you next time!